Hey guys, the name is Jasper at dinggin niyo ako sa analysis ko about this episode. Um, a lot to process, pero wow, this is such a surprising episode. Kung yesterday's episode I was something that I wasn't expecting, this is something that literally na hindi ko talaga ina-expect din. Um, I believe this is completely out. Yung mga nangyari dito, wala talaga to sa libro. Except sa paghuli niya. Pero significant changes right here. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's first talk about the elephant in the room here. Pero yung sound effect na pinatugtog dito, kung kailan tinutok ng Guardia Civil yung baril niya kay Ibarra, yun ang sound effect na kapag nag-i-swap ka ng weapon mismo sa Counter-Strike, ito yung tunog na yan eh. Or kung hindi swap, Counter-Strike, new round sound. Ito yung tunog na yan eh. Saan na ba yun? Hindi ito. Ito yata. Hindi ito. Pero meron sound effect na mismo galing sa Counter-Strike yun eh. Tapos kinuha nila yun. And ito naman sasabi ko Man, whoever is handling the sound editing on at least on this episode, it's going to be a nitpick, pero the purpose why we watch shows like this is to get ourselves immersed, diba? Now for any general audience na hindi gamer or hindi naglaro ng Counter-Strike, hindi nila alam yung tunog na yun. Pero ako alam na alam ko yun. So it kind of took me out of my of I kind of took me out from the immersion. And wow, so dinami-daming sound effect na pwede mong gamitin. Yung pa talaga yung mismong kukunin, yung pa talaga kukunin mo para gamitin sound effect na yun. And or at least wag yung nailagay yung sound effect na yun kung alam nyo may taong makakapansin sa tunog na yun. I mean, majority naman yata ng generation ko mga Pilipino na nakapaglaro ng Counter-Strike, so at least aware sila sa tunog na yun. Pero hey, that's just a nitpick. I'm just saying, I'm here to criticize. 99% of the time, pinipraise ko kayo. Pero there will be times na, hey, if I have to call you guys out, I'm going to call you guys out. Pero that was such a stupid sound effect to use para sa scene na to. Kasi talagang it took me out from my immersion. With that said, ooh, what a crazy scene. This is simply a crazy scene. At the back of my head, akala ko baka biglang makipagbaril lang si Ibarra dito. Pero I know he's not going to do it. Pero there's a chance that he might do it given na Ibarra is already at his lowest point here. And and anything can now happen. Gaya na nangyari in the late part of the episode. Pero hey, good thing na sumunod pa rin siya sa Guardia Civil. That is the Ibarra way, at least. Pero wow, we are already in that part na malapit na talaga makulong si Ibarra. Which is simply crazy to think. Hindi ko alam na nakulong si Ibarra when I was in high school. And knowing na yung nabasa ko yung libro na nakulong pala siya. And I'm like, wow, dito ko lang na-realize na talagang parang si Jose Rizal talaga siya. Napagbintangan for something na hindi naman niya kagagawan. Kasi nga, diba sabi ko, other than the Noli Me Tangere and the El Filibusterismo books, napagbintangan din si Jose Rizal bilang supremo ng KKK. Kasi yung mga Guardia Civil na nahuli nilang KKK members, sinabi nila si Jose Rizal ang supremo nila. Ayaw na lang sabihin na si Alice Bonifacio mismo. So, well, it kind of mirrors here na ano na siya. he got ano na tawag doon, he got arrested. And when it comes to this Maria Clara scene, um gaya ng sabi ko kanina, lahat ng kutob ni Maria Clara ay totoo. So whenever there's a kutob coming from Maria Clara, hey, you better believe it. You better believe it. Kung masama ang kutob ni Maria Clara about sa pagputok ng mga baril na yon, it means na someone else that is really close to her is probably having a bad time. And in this case, si Ibarra mismo. I'm not sure if the lampara thing was intentional, but I think usually, other than with this lampara, ganitong lampara design din nakikita ko na hawak-hawak mismo ni Simon during the El Filibusterismo days. So I don't know, maybe this is foreshadowing about the Simon character. I'm not sure about that. Pero hey, if ever I'm going to find a lamp, I will see it on a bedside table. So there's that. Um Again, si Fidel nagpapakit na naman as usual. But it's a good thing na gaya na sabi ko in the previous episode, literal na hihingi ng tulong si Klay kay Fidel. Kasi walang power si Klay pagdating sa kung ano mong mangyayari kay Ibarra in the next coming episodes. And then, he now got arrested. It's better to keep a low profile muna, di ba? Keep a low profile and tumago sa Guardia Civil kasi baka mamaya si Klay din ay baka hulihin. So what Klay did here, she made the right choice to get, uh, keep in touch. She kept in touch with Fidel para at least mailigtas nila si Ibarra mismo. I would call this scene as the reflection scene. More reflections para kay Ibarra dito. Dito na niya talaga na-realize na, na kung ang reflection ni Ibarra about kay Sisa ay about sa injustices mismo, 'di ba? Pagdating sa mga Indio, and siya may dugo siyang Indio, 'di ba? Katulad niya, injustices. At least on this scene, dito niya na-realize, dito siya nakapag-reflect fully kasi nasa literal na kung ano yung dinadanas ng mga Pilipino during that time, especially pagdating sa injustices. This is probably the closest thing at this point of his life na talagang ramdam niya yung mga abuso ng mga praile at ng Guardia Civil. Clearly, um, he clearly alam niya yung mga praile mismo ang may may kagagawan nito kasi who else, sino pa ba ang pwedeng makapag encourage sa mga Guardia Civil na parang hulihin siya, 'di ba? Hindi naman makikinig yung mga Guardia Civil sa mga Indio. So makikinig sila to a higher authority, which is si Padre Salvi. So again, Ibarra is reflecting here. Nakikita niya habang he is being arrested, nakikita niya yung paligid niya, which is yung community ng San Diego mismo. I'm just happy na si Elias ay nandiyan pa rin para tulungan si Ibarra. Given na this is just a few minutes after nalaman niya na yung ninuno ni Ibarra ang dahilan ng pagkabaksak ng mga Elias, mga pamilya ni Elias. I do feel na yung mga kumuha ng mga baril nito ay mga kasabwat mismo ni Elias. So, I think that's pretty cool. Hey Google, stop. And I lost my train of thought here. And with because of that, nagawa ni Ibarra tumakas, 'di ba? So Ibarra is easily on at this point na para sa kanya anything can happen. He can do everything that he wanted to do kasi he is at his lowest point. You know, whenever we're depressed, whenever we're experiencing huge sadness, it feels like for other people, parang wala na silang pakialam sa mundo, di ba? They will do a lot of stupid stuff, mga ganun-ganun bagay. Stuff na you don't usually do whenever you're in a proper mental state. And, it only makes sense na Ibarra wanted to show everyone that he is innocent. So, what better way to exactly express that kundi pumunta sa simbahan kung saan may magaganap na simbang gabi, madaming tao. He made the right choice there. If that is the action that he wanted to express pagdating sa community ng San Diego mismo. Ako, if I've been wrong, 'di ba? If I've been wrong, I will do everything in my power to tell everybody na inosente ako, 'di ba? And if alam kong madaming tao nakakilala sa akin, and baka kumalat yung balita na ayun nga nahuli nga ako, sasabihin ko agad diretso sa kanila na inosente ako, wala akong kasalanan, stuff like that. Di ko na paaabutan sa korte mismo given na how corrupt the the, the court is dito sa during this time right here. And Ibarra already has the disadvantage kasi may dugo siyang Indio mismo. So what I find fascinating here ay um, majority ng mga minor characters and major characters ay nandito mismo sa simbahan. So it was very convenient na that was the case para ma-share ni Ibarra yung kanyang sentiments, 'di ba? Um, ito nga pala yung may ketong. I think the guy with the ketong here, I think his imagery is very significant kasi Ibarra is usually being compared to being a doctor, 'di ba? Siya ang doktoro na magpapatanggal ng cancer sa Pilipinas. Yung tao may ketong dito, siya yung best representation ng city mismo ng San Diego or yung Pilipinas. While hindi man cancer yung kanyang nasa balat, ketong yun isang illness na anybody can visually see. It just goes to show na when you try to reflect on things, yung sinasabi ni Ibarra na cancer sa city ng San Diego or at least sa Pilipinas is something that is very visible at it's also something na makikita mo sa paligid mo if you are just very observant. Kasi cancer in general is something that you cannot see, di ba? Hindi mo nakikita yon. Makikita mo na lang yon once na nagpa-doktor ka, MRI ba, ganun? Or CT scan. Or once na the person or has already gone through chemotherapy. Doon yun lang yung mga visual aids para makita natin na yung tao mismo ay may cancer, di ba? Pero most of the time, cancer is undetectable. Di mo nakikita yon. And it's the same thing with San Diego. Gaya na sabi ko sa first episode ng Clara at Ibarra, sabi ko, everything looks pretty normal sa San Diego mismo. It looks like a typical Filipino town. Pero when you try to do some more observing, gaya ng isang doktor, kung ino-observe mo yung pasyente mo and you do some medical, again, observation, kung ikaw si Ibarra, you try to reflect about your experiences sa San Diego at yung mga dinadana sa mga tao mismo sa San Diego, and then nakikita mo yung nakatagong cancer ay ay super visible pala this whole time. And basically, this scene right here, the reflection scene, it's basically him finally realizing yung doctor analogy ni Piloso Potasio sa kanya. And the fact na nakikita niya mismo kung ano yung cancer na iyon na probably has been mentioned to him before. Kasi ang naalala ko lang, yung salitang cancer ay lumabas galing sa bunganga ni Professor Torres at sinabi niya yung kay Klay mismo. I'm not sure if whether the word cancer was compared to the corruption and yung power ng mga praile was actually mentioned to Ibarra himself. So there's that. So again, majority ng mga tao nandito. Don Filippo is here. Even Kapitan Tiago. So it's a mix of, high class people, lower class people, middle class people in this building right here. In this one building, we have children, we have old people, maybe some people from the government, and even a praile, diba, which is Padre Salvi. Another thing that I find interesting here was Klay and Professor Torres' conversation. I keep on saying na tawag dito, I keep on saying na the ink is dry, diba? The ink is dry. Lahat ng mga minor and major events sa sa Noli Me Tangere ay mangyayari pa rin kahit na may involvement si Klay or wala kasi the ink is dry. As it turns out, that is not always the case. Kasi even si Professor Torres ay nagtaka na rin at hindi na rin niya alam kung saan papunta yung story. What he does know ay yung kung ano yung ending ng Noli Me Tangere ay yun na magiging ending ng Noli Me Tangere sa show na to. So basically in this scene, what he is just trying to tell Klay is that, Klay, sa sobrang pakikialam mo, you've made some changes na I wasn't expecting to happen. Or even you have made some changes that are things na I didn't even thought was possible. And this is a good build-up. This is a good build-up. Sa mga taong hindi nanood ng Abangan, this is a good build-up to this scene right here kung saan finally nagsalita na si Ibarra sa harapan sa buong San Diego. Literally. This is something that Professor Torres was talking about. All of Klay's actions led to this scene right here. Which is something that wasn't from the books. Other than sa reflection scene na ginawa ni Ibarra mismo. And while naarestado din si Ibarra sa libro, hindi naman, correct me if I'm wrong, pero wala akong natatanda na ginawa ni Ibarra to sa libro. As in, wala talaga. Pero again, Ibarra from the books is different. He thinks of the world differently. Even though both of these Ibarras had to face the same fate. Pero Ibarra in the books thinks differently because Ibarra from the books doesn't have the Klay character. So there's that. I think ito na yung pinakaprodukto, ito na yung pinakaresulta ng emosyon na pinakita ni Ibarra nung sinuntok niya yung puno from the previous episode. And then naalala niya mismo yung sinabi ni Klay sa kanya. So I think it's one of those catalysts that led to this scene right here. Ang tanong, is this a good scene? Is this scene necessary? You know what? Yeah, this is necessary. I can compare this scene to the Padre Damaso scene with Ibarra kung saan he held Padre Damaso hostage, diba? From that scene, pinaalam ni Ibarra sa mga tao doon na yung tatay niya ay matino, walang kasalanan, at si Padre Damaso ay isang piece of E. Now, this scene right here, it's the same thing pero it's bigger. Ngayon, ang hostage na mismo ni Ibarra ngayon ay yung buong San Diego. Naalala niyo yung a few years ago, yung lalaking security guard na nang held hostage sa Green Hills yata, 'di ba? Now, that that event, pakita ko nga sa inyo para maalala nyo. Yung security guard hostage Green Hills. Naalala nyo tong event na to? You guys remember this? So, when Ibarra was doing this scene right here, ito rin naalala ko. 'Di ba? Ito yung naalala ko. It drove a lot of criticism. Some, I think ang main reason ni Kuya dito ay nang held siya ng hostage sa Green Hills para ipaalam sa mga tao kung gaano, kasi 'di ba na finard siya or something like that, para ipalaganap yung message kung gaano minimistreat yung mga security guard, or at least pagdating sa employment sa Pilipinas, on how fragile employment is when it comes to the Philippines. A lot of people defended him, 'di ba? Kasi because of his message, there were also a lot of people who criticized him. Ako, I am one of those people who criticized this guy kasi there were several people who got injured because of his doings. And para sa akin, you cannot justify the message you're trying to spread if you will involve violence. But when you think of it, how else is this guy going to spread that message kung hindi siya mismo gagawa ng ganitong eksena, di ba? Because of what he did, kumalat yung ganong usapan na yun, yung about nga sa mistreatment ng mga security guards. Ngayon, depende na lang if ever his messages um became a huge thing if ever there's progress nga ba pagdating sa employment in the Philippines in general. We don't know. Pero I do know na some people can still remember this. Even ako, naalala ko pa rin to. This happened 3 years ago. Imagine that. Ibarra had to do the same thing para gisingin yung mga tao ng San Diego at ipaalam sa kanila na merong nakatagong cancer sa tao ng San Diego mismo. And basically, what Ibarra did here was a call for action. Dinggin nyo kami. That was his word. Dinggin nyo kami. which led to other people hearing his words and ginaya din nila, which is simply amazing. I can relate this scene to that scene in Les Miserables. Les Miserables. Because in Les Miserables, there is this song na, do you hear the people sing? Ngayon, hindi ko ito papakita sa inyo itong video na to. Pero basically, tinggin nyo kami basically means just like this. Do you hear the people sing? It's all about people trying to express their opinions about how they are being governed by the current government and even yung mga power ng mga praile mismo. Diba? Do you hear the people singing the song of anger men? It is the music of the people who will not be slaves again. And basically, this is Do You Hear the People Sing ng Noli Me Tangere, which is simply amazing. It's up to you guys on how you guys are going to interpret it, interpret yun. Pero such an amazing scene. I just don't know how this scene right here will completely affect all of the major and the minor characters going forward sa story. This scene right here led me to more questions pagdating sa future. And something that is very surprising coming from a book reader. We do know na ikukwento na ng El Filibusterismo. Pero because of this scene right here, this scene is simply significant na there might be a lot of changes na pwede mangyari sa city mismo ng San Diego. Kung musical to, I'm pretty sure na isang musical number to. Wow. Napansin ko lang kulay pula yung background niya kasi basically, you know, red means there's a fire within him, or when someone is angry, it's all about red. Or sometimes red can also mean a rebellion, whether it's violent or a peaceful one. Pero amazing use of the background here, crazy stuff, and wow, I cannot believe I'm going na may makikita tayong ganitong scene mismo from this show. Now, if this show surprised me in this way, then what comes next, diba? What else does the show have para isurpresa tayo? How will Padre Salvi react to this scene right here? And wow, such an amazing scene. Something that I wasn't expecting, but something that I can really welcome. It's a very nice addition to the Noli Me Tangere story. It feels like na when you compare the books with this one, at least on this show right here, you can see visually the sense of hope that the Filipino community has during this time. You can visually see the sense of hope here. And all they need is one Crisostomo Ibarra. So that's my analysis on episode 70. Crazy episode, amazing episode, and a very surprising one. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. So what do you guys think? And see you guys around on the next episode. See you guys next week and have an amazing weekend. Goodbye, you guys.